Hello, Algebra 2 students. Today we will do 5.8 notes. It is called Analyze Graphs of Polynomial Functions. So let's look at factors versus solutions. In this first example, given f of x equals 7 times x minus 2 times x plus 5 times x minus 3 to the second power, you're asked what are the solutions? Well, if you remember from the previous sections, to find the solutions, you take everything that's in the parentheses and you set it equal to 0. And so that would be x minus 2 equals 0, x plus 5 equals 0, and x minus 3 equals 0. Don't worry about to the second power. Adding 2 to both sides here, you get x equals 2. Subtracting 5 from both sides, you get negative 5. And adding 3 to both sides, you get x equals 3. So your solutions are x equals 2, x equals negative 5, and x equals 3. However, you know that this will be a double solution because of the second power. So this is a double root or double solution or double zero. I was going to put root or 0, but that's okay. Example 2. Given x equals negative 4 is a solution and x equals 2 is a double solution, what are the factors? So if you're given the solutions, how do you determine the factors? You put them in parentheses. So if x equals negative 4 is a solution, then its factor is x plus 4. And if x equals 2 is a double solution, then you would write that in factored form as x minus 2 to the second power because it's a double 0. So we don't know much about this, so we don't know if there's a leading coefficient or whatever, so we can just determine as these are the two factors. So x plus 4 is a factor, x minus 2 squared is a factor. So that's the difference between factors and solutions. Solution is a value for x. A factor is x plus that value or x minus that value determined by the sign. Okay, now for this first page, we are going to be given functions and we're going to answer the prompts. Given the function f of x equals x plus 1 to the second power times x minus 1 times x minus 3, what are the factors? So the factors are just what is in the parentheses. So the factors are x plus 1, x minus 1, and x minus 3. And honestly, you could put the squared here. It's not going to matter. It's still the factors are just what's inside the parentheses. What are the x-intercepts? So I should have been more clear, but that is called the x-intercepts. Also known as, well, I'll just leave it at that. So to find the x-intercepts, you take a look at each parentheses, and they would be the opposites. So so if you have a positive one, its coordinate is negative 1. And of course, the y coordinate is going to be 0. For the middle parentheses, it's 1, 0. And for the third parentheses, it's 3, 0. So those are your x-intercepts. And then your zeros are the same thing as your solutions or your x-intercepts. So it'd be the x-coordinate of each of the ones that we just listed. And x equals 3. The solutions are the same thing, means the exact same thing. So hopefully, what can you conclude from problems B, C, or from, yes, your answers to B, C, and D? Intercepts, x-intercepts to be more precise. So x-intercepts, zeros, and solutions all mean the same thing. I'll write that over here, though. And I've been kind of saying this all along, that they mean the same thing. However, Factors don't. So that's why I put in A as well. Factors is just the stuff in parentheses. Okay, now let's do some actual practice problems. Given the function f of x equals x plus 1 squared times x minus 1 times x plus 3, how many zeros are there? Well, um, you have two zeros here. That's a double zero. Then this is to the first power. This is to the first power. So there's going to be a total of 4 zeros. What are those zeros? So our zeros, if you set this equal to 0, and remember it's to the second power, so x minus 1 equal to 0, and x plus 3 equal to 0. So subtracting 1 both sides, x equals -1, adding 1, subtracting 3. So your zeros are x equals -1. It's a double zero. So you still have 4 zeros. Then you have x equals 1, and then you have x equals -3. Identify the x-intercepts. Remember, it's the same thing as your zeros, but you're just writing it as an ordered pair. So for your double zero, that's -1 comma 0. For x equals 1, that's 1 comma 0. And -3 comma 0. If you've noticed, this is almost like the first example. Approximate the local minimum, approximate the local maximum. I'm going to leave those blank for now. We're going to do those on a graphing calculator when we come back. However, we are going to plot the x-intercepts. So plot -1, 0, +1, 0, and -3, 0. 1, 2, 3. Now, hopefully you remember that anything with a degree of 4 and the leading coefficient positive, it's going to look like a W shape. We just don't know how low it's going to dip, and that's where the graphing calculator will come in handy. And that's why we're going to leave C and D blank. And for right now, we will go ahead and just do C, D, and E afterwards. But just remember that it's going to look like this. Something like that. I mean, they're supposed to be even, so let me fix that. Mm. But it's going to look something like that. We'll come back to it. All right. For the next example, this one is written in non-factored form. How many zeros are there? But you know from your degree, from your exponent, there will be 3 zeros. What are those zeros? We will have to do that with a graphing calculator, all of this. So I'm just going to leave it blank. We won't even do this problem until I show it to you on a video, and then I'll tell you to fill in your answers. Right. And for our last one, how many zeros are there? There will be 4 zeros. What are the zeros? Again, this will be a graphing calculator exercise, and we will fill in the rest of it there, and I'll tell you what to fill in. So that is it for this portion of the video, and then I'll do a second video on the graphing calculator. Have a great day, Algebra 2 students.